You join us today at the fabulous Barnburgh Lakes. This is a 3-lake complex that's between Rotherham and Doncaster. Like all good commercials, Barnburgh Lakes has got its own cafeteria. It's actually a bistro. It's fantastic for breakfast and also an evening meal if you want after you've fished. What a place to come. Today I wanted to talk about Crystal Dibbers. Our commercial lakes are full of F1s. These fish, once it starts to warm up, the temperature now is almost 10 degrees overnight, and these type of fish want to feed up shallow. They want to come up in that upper layer and compete. Because there's a lot of fish, they're pressed to get bait. They want to be up there. So the best way to target them is fishing shallow. And fishing with a Crystal Dibber float is the best way to target these fish. Crystal Dibbers have been around now for about 10 years, believe it or believe it not. These floats are a blow moulded polymer that's incredibly hard. In fact, I actually found one that was stuck into the mud at Lindholm Lakes. It had been crushed into the mud by somebody standing on it. And this float was still perfect when I pulled it out of the mud. It was a 0.2 size, and I think I've actually still got it in the box at home. Incredible. These floats, because they're clear, they're almost invisible in water. But the plastic cap on the top is really visible, so you can see the cap of the float and see bites really easily. Also, what makes these floats so good, they have a fiberglass stem in the base. And this is what you want when you're fishing shallow. You want that float to be able to register bites as soon as the float lands in the water. If you're slapping a rig on the surface trying to draw fish to the bait on the hook, then often once you slap the rig over, the float sets immediately, and often you get bites on the drop that take it within seconds of the float landing in the water. Today's session's been a very, very simple one for me. I fed casters today. Casters as one of the main baits for fishing for F1s and also silverfish like hide and chub. And the reason why casters work so well is because they rattle on the water, they're hard. And when you feed with a catapult, I rarely feed by hand, I nearly always feed with a catapult, and they rattle on the surface. So this helps to draw fish in. Feeding 20 to 25 casters regularly, literally keep your catapult in your hand, keep the bait going in. You are trying to keep those fish in the upper layers. When that bait falls below where you're fishing, it's null and void, it's gone. So you need to keep feeding. The other one of my little secrets is I always fish with a dead maggot. Now you might ask the question, well, if I'm feeding casters, why did I fish a maggot on the hook? Well, I believe that a maggot is much softer, and when a fish takes it, it keeps hold of it longer. So I feel by fishing a maggot that is in a hair that I miss less bites. Because it's soft, the fish keep hold of it. There's 3 sizes of Crystal Dibber, from 0.2, 0.3 and also 0.4. The 0.4 size one I often use if I'm fishing with a long line and swinging to fish that's shallow, what they call mugging fish off the surface. Today I've used mainly just the 0.2, and this is because I was fishing for F1s and fishing in the upper layers. Now you'll notice what I've done, I've got 2 rubbers on the bottom of the float. These rubbers are tight, I don't want that float to move while I'm fishing. The .2 takes just 4 number 10s, and this is blocked on the top of the 6-inch hook length. Now, a lot of anglers that fish for F1s seem to think that 2 or even 4-inch hook lengths are best, but I've tried this lots and lots of times and I still think that a 6-inch hook length is the best. One of my main secrets for fishing for these type of fish shallow is fishing with small hooks. I use the Drennan carp match for fishing for F1s, and then if I want a slightly heavier hook where I may be catching an odd carp as well, I'll use a B91120 eyed hook as well. I've been using these floats for 10 years and I cannot think that I've ever broke one. That's how durable they are. So once you're fishing, slapping and catching big weights of fish, I mean, I've had weights of 300 plus pound with these type of floats and I can't ever remember breaking one. I've honestly had a great day's fishing today. In fact, a great 2.5 hours. Quite a short session. 1 o'clock, it was tipping it down with rain. So we had to finish, but I'd already amassed around about £100 of F1s. At Barnburgh Lakes, there's 77 pegs available to fish, spread over 3 lakes. Now, tickets here are just £8 per peg. What more can you ask for from a fishery? Fantastic.